There once was a man named Arjun who lived in a small village at the edge of the forest. He wasn't poor, nor was he rich. He had enough to survive, but nothing to dream about. Every day felt like a copy of the last. Wake up, eat, work, sleep, repeat. Slowly, without even realizing it, Arjun began to feel hollow. The villagers often saw him walking aimlessly after sunset, staring into the horizon, as if hoping something, anything, would change. His smile had faded over the years, replaced by a quiet resignation. He wasn't in pain, but he wasn't at peace either. One morning, Arjun decided to visit the forest. He didn't know why, maybe to escape the noise of his own mind. The trees had always stood tall, unmoved by human worries. Maybe they knew something he didn't, but as he wandered deeper, he stumbled upon an old hermit sitting beneath a massive banyan tree. The hermit looked up, his eyes calm like a still lake. Without a word, he motioned Arjun to sit beside him. For minutes, they sat in silence. No questions, no judgments, just the sound of wind brushing through the leaves. Finally, the hermit spoke. "What weighs your soul, young man?" Arjun sighed deeply and replied, "Life feels empty. I do the same things, go the same places. I feel like I'm walking in circles, chasing something I can't even name." The hermit nodded slowly, as if he had heard this many times before. "Do you know the story of the cracked pot?" he asked. Arjun shook his head. And so, the hermit began. Once, there was a water-bearer who carried two pots tied on each end of a pole. One pot was perfect, the other had a crack. The cracked pot felt ashamed, for every day it lost water on the journey home. It believed it was useless. One day, the pot apologized. The water-bearer smiled and said, "Look at the path we walk every day. On your side, flowers bloom beautifully. I planted seeds, knowing your crack would water them. You've been helping me all along. You just didn't see it." The story lingered in Arjun's mind. "But what if there are no flowers blooming on my path?" he asked, still uncertain. The hermit smiled. "Then maybe it's time to plant some." That night, Arjun couldn't sleep. The story kept echoing. Had he been so focused on what he lacked that he missed the quiet beauty he was already part of? Was his life really empty, or just unnoticed? The next day, he woke up early. For the first time in months, he watched the sunrise. Not just with his eyes, but with presence. The birds were singing. The wind was cool, and his breath felt meaningful. He went back to the village and started helping the elderly fix their homes. He taught children how to plant vegetables. He began telling stories to those who felt lost. Slowly, he became the light he was once looking for. People began to smile when they saw him. "There's something different about Arjun," they'd whisper. But he hadn't changed who he was. He had just awakened to it. The emptiness didn't vanish overnight. But he no longer feared it. He sat with it. He listened. He turned it into space. A space where compassion, service, and wonder could grow. Years passed. Arjun became known as this silent gardener. Not just of plants, but of souls. He didn't preach. He didn't advise. He simply lived in a way that reminded people that their pain wasn't permanent. One day, a young man came to him, eyes heavy with despair. "My life feels pointless," he said. Arjun smiled gently and invited him to sit. "Have you ever heard of the cracked pot?" he asked. And so, the story continued, passed down not through books, but hearts. Through those who had been broken and found meaning not despite it, but because of it. Life doesn't always give answers, but it gives moments, quiet, hidden treasures that appear only when we stop chasing and start seeing. When we stop asking, "What's the point?" and start asking, "What can I give?" If you ever feel like your life has no meaning, remember Arjun. Remember the cracked pot. You may not see the flowers yet, but someone else might, and they're blooming because of you.